All right, so let's go over the warm up. Okay, stylus. Ooh. All right, so for 1 and 2, I need to write the following sentence of inequality. Right? Remember, an inequality compares two expressions with an unknown, with a variable, an unknown number. And if you remember, my inequalities are greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. All right, so for number 1, 3.5 minus x is no more than 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is underline my expressions. And I have 5 and 3.5 minus x. And then I'm going to circle the inequality. No more than. So what is that statement saying? 3.5 minus x is no more than 5. So first, I'm going to go ahead and write out my two expressions. So I have 3.5 minus x. I'm going to leave a little space, and then I'm compare it to 5. So whatever x is, whatever value I put in place of x, what this is saying, no more than 5, is that it cannot be anything higher than 5. All right. So, but 5 can be included. It just can't be higher than 5. So my two choices are going to be greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. Well, if x 3.5 minus x can't be any higher than 5, it must be less than 5, less than or equal to. So the correct symbol would be less than or equal to 5. Number 2, k is more than 8. Okay, I'm going to circle or underline the expressions. So I have 8 in k, and I have is more than. So that we know k is more than 8, but can k equal 8? And the answer is no, because the statement, the key words are more than 8. So I know whatever k must be, it must be greater than 8. So my inequality would be k is greater than 8. Okay, number 4, and I realized I skipped 3, but number 4, solve for the variable. 3k divided by 6 equals 7. So this is actually not an inequality. This is an equation because it's got an equal sign instead of an inequality symbol. But if you recall how I find the variable, the value of the variable, I have to isolate it. In other words, I need to do the inverse operation to get that k by itself. So in this example right here, I have 3k divided by 6 equals 7. All right, so I'm going to write out my expression. I'm going to go with purple. All right, so I have 3k, it's not purple, or is it? Look at purple, divided by 7. Oh, sorry. Divided 3k divided by 6 equals 7. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply the inverse operation of 3k, so in other words, the reciprocal, and I'm going to multiply 6/3 on both sides of the equation. All right, in order to get rid of that 3/6, I need to multiply it by its reciprocal. And what would happen is, and I'll show you. So if I multiply times 6/3, now we got to do the same thing on both sides of the equation. Change it one way, you got to change the other the same way. All right. So what happens is if I find the reciprocal, if I do the cross canceling, I reduce these to 1. So that reduces to 1. That reduces to 1. That to 1. That to 1. So I'm left with, I'm left with 1k equals, and then 7 times. So then to multiply a fraction, I'll do 7 times 6, which is 42. Sorry, I'm running out of room. And then 1 times 3, so 42 divided by 3 would be 14. So 1k equals 14. And remember, if you have a 1 next to a variable, we assume, we know that anytime you have a variable, you have a 1 there. So I actually don't need that 1. It's just k equals 14. All right. you're going to erase this. Sorry, guys, this is really tough writing on this thing. I hope it gets better, but it is. Oh, I just gave you guys the answers, but what am I doing? All right. So I have 7y equals 10. So if I have 7y, go with green. 7y equals 10. All right. By doing the inverse operation, I'm going to divide both sides by 7. So I have 7y divided by 7, 10 divided by 7, and I'm left with, these cross each other out, I'm left with y equals 10 sevenths, but that's an improper fraction, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce that. So that would equal 10 sevenths is actually 1 and 3 sevenths. All right, number 6. 45 basketball players participate in a tournament. Write and solve an equation, find the number of the 3-person teams that they can form. All right, so this is another algebraic equation problem, and so what I need to do is write and solve an equation to find the amount. How many teams can I create with 3 people if I have 45 total players in all? So, yeah, 40. I'm going to circle my expressions. 40 or my values. 45 players, 3-person teams. So I'm going to say that for the variable I'm going to use T for teams. So T for teams. All right. And so I know that 3-person teams, so 3 players per team, 3T equals 45. All right. And I want to know what T is, the value of T. So I'm going to use the inverse operation, divide both by 3, and I get T equals 15. All right. So they can form 15 teams of 3 players. Well, I hope this video helps. And let's go ahead and begin the lesson.